The goal for this podcast is to better our understanding through conversation. Communication is one of the easiest, yet hardest things to do. Whether that's communication of feelings, thoughts, or opinions. But through communication, new perspectives begin to take place. Throughout the various topics and opinions discussed on this podcast, we hope that we can add value, understanding, and a few laughs to your day. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast. As you know, I am Bruce, and I'm here with E, man. What's going on, bro?
How you doing, brother? Welcome back.
Hey, man. That's back again, bro.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? We have been talking for a minute before we hopped on camera and everything, but it's a lot of good messaging that we said, bro. And two things that popped in my head. One was clearing out all the noise or clearing out all the voices. And the second one that really stood out was the sickness of fear. Mm-hmm. So we can hop on those two, and then wherever the conversation takes us, man, that's where we'll go. Okay,
so this is a freestyle Sunday then.
That's it, bro. Okay. I like that. Freestyle Sunday.
Okay. I like it. All right. So, tell me, what jumped into your mind? Like why you wanted to go this route?
With the clearing out all the noise, all the voices, man. Like I felt like this week, a lot of transitions been happening, a lot of things been happening in my life, and like, to be honest, man, like I'm a research type of person. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of music, a lot of interviews, a lot of things like that. And sometimes you get lost in that. I felt like I was getting lost. I wasn't really staying true to who I was because I had too many opinions coming in. And it was like, God was like, yo, man, you can't hear anything. You can't hear my voice if you got too many opinions coming in. And it's like, get back to me, like get back to the basics pretty much. And I had to really like dial it down. Like I went through I'm going through my Spotify, I'm going through my Instagram, all the unnecessary pages, going through my music, all this stuff. And it's like all my podcasts and just clearing out all the unnecessary stuff and trying to find the things that really truly speak to me, you know, so I could truly be myself and listen to my voice more. And listen to God's voice more. So it's like once I clear out all the unnecessary stuff, it's like your vision clears up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like corrective vision surgery.
And that's why
I was. Yeah, man. That's where I was at with it.
Your focus level.
100%, bro.
Yeah. I definitely I get that, man. I get that. That's interesting. So you say you've been a little scatterbrained. You've been,
man.
It's been like, I guess, temperature wise, it's been real cloudy.
It has, bro. And it's like, and I think what prefaced it was you have obstacles in life, or you have seasons in life that are not so good, and like we like control. You know what I'm saying? At least for myself, I can speak for myself. Like I like control, and then when things are chaotic, you lose control. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you reaching for different things. Like, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Where do I go? Where do I do this? And you searching for that voice or that answer. And it's like sometimes instead of zooming out, you have to zoom in. You know what I'm saying? And only listen to the voices that really matter and that have substance. You know what I'm saying? That have authority, that's trustworthy. You know what I mean? And that's have a little bit of nourishment to it. And that's where I was at with it, man. It's like, okay, cool. And that helps me navigate the storms. They help me navigate like the craziness that's going on.
Definitely. I think what's key on what you just said, man, for a lot of people, just being able to diagnose the noise.
That's what it is.
Understanding what it is that you're listening to within, And that's the thing, because oftentimes before, even with like, in any serious result, when you look at the result to whatever you get, it was a thought that came into the mind that garnered this specific result. Mm-hmm. For like, even if the result is something positive, all of a sudden, you driving, and then the voice, so to speak, the voice tells you, don't go that route today. Get off on this exit. Get off on exit 143. And you like, I never take 143. I mean, that's kind of like taking me the wrong way. Why would I get off on 143?
Yeah.
And it's like you hear it again. And it's like, I don't know, but I might need to get off on 143, Then all of a sudden, it's like you get to work or whatever. Wherever you go, wherever you were going at, then you find out, man, it was a bad accident.
Facts.
Yep. And you realize you're like, man, I would have, that could have been me. Yeah. But then on the flip to that, you have this. People listening to the wrong voice and then all of a sudden jump.
100%.
Then all of a sudden you like, I don't know, I still got things to live for. They don't care about you.
Yep.
They don't want you around. They don't even know you exist. Jump. And no, this isn't right. Yeah, it's right. You know me. I'm your conscience. I'm speaking to you. Jump. I guarantee you, it's nothing worth living for anymore anyways.
Yep.
Look at the relationship with you and your mother. Look at the relationship with every man you get in. Jump. You're never going to be married. Your mother already showing you that. She can't hold on to a man. Whatever. Jump.
Right.
And it's like all of a sudden, it's like it's playing back and forth, back and forth. Then all of a sudden, it's like the person takes it to, take it to their head like a shot. And next thing you know, they jump. It's
That's
like,
it, bro.
Yeah, it's the noise. It's the noise. It's like.
Oh, go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
Yeah, it's all good. Now, all I was gonna say is, man, it's like the sound waves. Like when you're dealing with music and everything else, it's like, you're dealing with amperage and everything else. I'm not big into music, but I do know enough to know this. When dealing with the quality of sound and dealing with amperage and stuff like that, if things are off kilter, it's like you have a bunch of noise. Mm-hmm. And you ever been at a concert or wherever, pet rally, wherever, a church, a church setting, then all of a sudden you just get a lot of static that come through the mic, or it's like it's sharp, like the noise is sharp.
That loud whining sound.
Exactly.
Like that,
and man, it's like you ever seen people face when it hits, when it strikes. It's crazy. Honestly, I call it what it was when it strikes, because it's like it hits you. Mm-hmm. It's like you feel it, yeah. And it's like that's the thing. With music, you start thinking about harmony. You start thinking about melody. But then you have something, the opposite of all of that is noise.
Yep.
It's like when certain people get on the mic, God bless their heart. They get on the mic. They shouldn't be on the mic, but they get on it. And they say to themselves, I'm going to bless the mic. And next thing you know, you just see the heads. Then all of a sudden, it's like, the climactic part happens, and so if it starts out and it already doesn't sound too good, and then all of a sudden now they climaxing in the song, and it's like we have to beware of the sounds of noise, and it's like we have to eliminate the noise, because if you don't eliminate the noise serves the purpose of eliminating you. Listen to enough noise. If it's been stated that you can become what you eat, then if you listening to a bunch of noise, then to be honest with you, you become the thing that you're listening to.
100%, bro. I think about, like, for me, I suffered with like analysis paralysis. So it's like you have so many opinions, like, what should I do? Should I listen to this one? Should I listen to that one? Well, they telling me this, or she telling me this, he telling me this, and you don't even know what decision to make. You indecisive, and I think that's what it leads to. And then on another note, what you spoke to was like the different voices, because not all voices or not all noise is gonna benefit you. You know what I mean? I think that's super big, and learning how to dissect that. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I just I try to find out like my upbringing. Like we spoke about the core before we hopped on, and like what's my core? What's my core beliefs? What's my core values? How did I grow up? You know what I mean?
You have to remind yourself.
I remind myself of how I grew up. Like where did I come from?
That's the anchor.
Yeah, bro.
Anchor down.
Perfect analogy, man. And you have to tap back into that.
You're right, bro. Because going back to a couple things that we spoke on before we got on air, It's like I was telling him, it's like he made a comment, B made a comment about me, and he like the thing that he admires about me. And I was explaining to him that, you know, in a sense, I'm no different than him or nobody else for that matter. Not the issue, but for me, one thing that I've learned how to do is navigate like the roaring waters that reside within. It's like the turbulent waters that, you know, that look to engulf me within, that nobody else can see. A lot of times before I get in here, the step on this podcast and speak it to this mic, I tell them, my thing is, I don't want to contaminate this mic. So the one thing that I am in control of, in essence, is the things that go on within me and the things that I choose to release. So for me, the raging waters, it's just like, you know, it's just like in a good book what Jesus was able to do on the, you know, being able to walk on water. You can't have a fear of the water. You got to understand. You got to speak to, you know, your storm, the stormy weather, the stormy situations, the stormy like atmosphere, and you say, look, settle down. It's not going down today. Right now, I'm in control of this here, and it's not happening. You know, you can say to it, you know, seas, behave, calm, you know, at ease.
100%.
And the thing about it, before I know it, it's just, you know, I'm able to navigate through the waters better, you know. No longer do they look murky. Instead, now it can look like, you know, clear water. You know, you can see what it is that, you know, that you're dealing with.
Yep.
My thing is, the noise, though, even at the beach, is no different. You hear the sounds of water colliding against rocks or whatever. But again, that could become some of the best sounds to sleep under. Mm-hmm. You know, it's also, we just got to understand how to identify what it is that we're being attacked by, the message that's trying to come to us, you know, because everything isn't always about just being under attack. However, it's about just diagnosing and going from that point.
100%, bro. I like what you said. Like, you gotta listen to or at least take note of what life may be trying to tell you. You know what I'm saying? That's big. And another thing you said about the ocean, like sometimes, or the chaos, sometimes it is fearful. And so you could be, maybe that's a good segue, like you could be overcame with the sickness of fear. Like, what did you mean by that? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So being overcome with the sickness of fear. So when you start thinking about sickness, it attacks you from within. That's, you know, any sickness, it starts, the seed of a sickness is within you. And whether your body is able to fight it off or not, it all is determined by, you know, just number one, believe it or not, in order to recover from a sickness, you have to be exposed to certain things. From you being exposed to it, then all of a sudden your immunity levels grow, and you're not vulnerable to that attack anymore. Instead, you become strengthened. So, in essence, you have to go through something. You got to go through something, because if you don't go through anything, then to be honest with you, you're vulnerable to the next thing. Whatever the next thing is, you're vulnerable to it. And even babies, it's interesting. Even with your daughter, like right now, she's in the stage of like bouncing. You know, as a parent, you know, we become a little afraid of the stage. But even for them, being toddlers, they have to go through something. You can't keep no living being, you can't keep nobody from going through nothing. Something is going to introduce itself.
Yep.
Now, again, it's like sickness. Sickness starts within. And from it starting within, if you don't get a hold on it, it will manifest itself to the outside. So whatever it is that, whatever it is, for example, a so-called common cold. Common cold, it starts, you feel it a lot of times within. It's like your nose might get a little, stuffy.
Yeah.
You're like,
You
your
feel it in your
throat.
chest.
Yeah, you like, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're like that. What was that? You know what I'm saying? It's like a little animal come out of you. Then all of a sudden, nah, I'll be all right. That happened. You start noticing that happen like every morning around a certain time.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, a couple days go by. Now it starts to drag and linger a little more. You're like, man, normally I get rid of this, little throat thing by a certain time. Now all of a sudden your ears start to, you're like, I don't know, man.
Headache.
Yeah, you start breathing different. You sound different. Head cold. Then all of a sudden it's like, you don't. If you disregard it. If you disregard it, you do nothing about what's going on within, then all of a sudden it just gets worse. Mm-hmm. Then next thing you know, you going down. It's like, you're not in a place in which you can fight it anymore, because the window in which you probably should have started fighting it, you let that window bypass you. Now you have to go through. You have to, now it becomes a fight for survival, endurance.
Yep.
So, like fear is no different than it's no different than any other sickness. It starts within. And then all of a sudden, the thing you fear the most is going to present itself at some point in time. Your thoughts that's within, nobody can see. It manifests itself because now all of a sudden you might already say, hey man, I'm terrified of dogs. And the one thing you can control is the fact I'm going to go places that I know for a fact dogs shouldn't be. Now all of a sudden you can't speak for what somebody else is going to do.
Right.
They come to that environment with their dog. Why? Because now, nowadays, what do they call
the service dogs?
Service dogs.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, unexpectedly, they're there with their service dog. Now this service dog is picking up on the fact that you're afraid of it. So now a dog acts. It acts its nature. Yeah. So it's like now you over there, you kind of nutting up. You, oh Lord, you jittery and shaking and
tense.
Exactly. But again, the sickness of fear, it comes from within. Now all of a sudden, your movements look different.
Take over your whole
body. You look
body.
vulnerable.
Yep. And
now you look like you're ready to become a victim.
I like what you said about like sometimes you can't even control. And we spoke to that. Like I want to control all situations. I want to be able to be in control. Maybe that's just human nature.
It is.
And you can't account for what's going on the inside. You made a perfect analogy. You was like, you may be able to control the temperature in your house, but when you go outside, the atmosphere is totally different. Mm-hmm. And you can let that fear
adjust.
You got to be able to adjust. You can either let that fear control your body and have that stopping power, or you could be able to learn how to adapt, listen to your body, and walk yourself through the steps of how to overcome it, and paying attention to what's going on around you, what's going on the inside, what's going on around you, and be able to take notes of those things on how to combat it. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting. Like we spoke about that before we got on air about like for example, the climate outside. That's something you can't change the climate outside. You can only adjust by coming inside, and you say, hey, how I'm gonna combat this 90-degree weather outside, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn my thermostat down. Mm-hmm. That's how you combat it. Then again, like we talked about, man, some things you just gotta go through. What am I talking about? For whatever reason, in the summertime, I don't know why, but it's like, man, your AC go out in the summer.
Yeah. Yep.
And when it goes out in the summer, now all of a sudden you forced to endure what it is that you don't want no parts of. Mm-hmm. So like I said before, it comes a time when you just gonna be it's like you stuck in a situation in which you have to go through. You have to endure it. It's like that's what builds that championship mentality. That's what builds, the grit. That's what takes and builds, you know, that's what builds your personality, in a sense, is just being able to go through some things. You sit around there, man, and somebody look at you, man, and you're like, man, this brother don't show no adaptability to me, you know. And so now all of a sudden, that's when people want to test you. Let me see what I want to see how good he performs in, you know, environment in which is not climate controlled, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Let's see if he really talk the game that he seems to be about. Let's test him, you know. And it's just, you know, when you put in situations like that, man, it's like the cream, they say, the cream will rise to the top.
100%. I like what you said, like, even with two things popped in my head, like what you said with the voices. A lot of times, I know for myself, like, you distract yourself from the voices or whatever. And for me, it's like, I keep going back to it. You have to deal with it. Like, why are these voices coming up? Instead of running from them, like, why are they here? Because it can be scary sometimes. From the thought process, from the way you're dealing with it, your everyday actions is affecting how you go to work, how you show up. And you have to deal with it instead of distracting yourself from it. And then number two is finding good counsel, like finding good people to talk to. Like me and like every week we meet here on Sundays, man, and we do the podcast, and we able to combine each other because it's that trust there, it's that relatability and everything. So if you can't deal with it, or you feel like you can't do it yourself, find good counsel, find good people to confide in to be able to help you work through those issues or work through that chaos. You know what I mean? I just think that's super big, bro. And for me, just this past week, being able to do that and to face that and go through that and be able to, like I said, talk through it helped me to ground it. Like, I become more grounded now, you know? And when you're able to do that, then that's when you go back to controlling the only thing that you can control, which is yourself. You know what I mean? You can't control how things come at you or what comes at you, but you can control how you react to them. You know what I mean?
Hey, facts. Big facts. It's, you know, in life, sometimes in life it's simple. It's as simple as we have to stop looking to play victim. What do I mean by that? We all, when you start peeling back the layers, because everybody got layers, like it's like a banana.
Yep.
You start peeling, you peeling it back and the peel, and you start to really see it for what it is. And although the outside look golden yellow, you peel it back, you still see a brown spot.
Bruh.
It's a blemish. Now, some of those from the old school say, boy, what you talking about right there, boy? That's when it's real good, boy. It's sweet. That's when it's sweetest. A little brown spot, that's what they say. That's when you want you some banana bread day. I say all of that to say this here, man. We have to stop playing victim or looking to play victim and understand we all have been through something. Everybody. You peel them layers back. Nobody's squeaky clean. I think in today's generation versus any other generation, it's like we have too much access to the thoughts of instant. Everybody want things instant. We look for an instant fix. We look for instant gratification. We look for just a quick way of doing things that we feel is going to provide the best results, and that's not the case. It's a process.
Yep.
It's a process to becoming great. It's not instant. A lot of time when it does come, when great results come to you in an instant sense, you start looking at it, and it's rare. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's rare. If you trace those individuals that had something great to happen to them in an instance, if you were to do the statistics and find out how many of them still accumulated, if it was wealth generated, whatever, just if you went and did the research, I would love to find out what it says, how long they were able to maintain that level.
100%. And I was reading this article about iguanas, and they floated out to sea like millions of years ago, landed on this island, and they adapted to learn how to swim underwater, grow gills. Their teeth got sharper to be able to scrape algae off the rocks to be able to eat it on the island. Now they populated the island. So you talked about instinct. You said that now with this, basically in the new generation that we have, the technology that we have, it's instant. But I think about like nature, like just to think about nature. And this may be simplistic, but sometimes the simplest messages have the most impact. And it's like tigers, like their claws grew longer to adapt to their nature. Birds, their wingspan or their way to grab trees to hold on to them may have got better. But at the end of the day, they still had to hunt. They still had to know how to hunt. So even with this technology, you still got to know how to use it, and you still got to know how to do the work necessary to maintain that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easier to do things now and it's more faster, but you still got to do the work to know how to maintain it, know how to continue to use it the correct way. Does that make sense?
Of course. You said we have to learn how to use it and not abuse it. But in result, honestly, the end part, you have to kind of flip it because it abuses us. We become victimized by the thing that we think we in control of a lot of times.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. That's crazy.
Because you think about it, man, because really and truly, one thing about us, again, you got to think about it. We always like to say, I got it. So that means what? I'm in control. I got this. I got I got the steering wheel. Cool. You have it. Then all of a sudden, it's funny because think about it, as people, when do we know we in trouble? We only know we in trouble when a lot of times it's too late.
Yep.
You sit up, they swimming. No, go down there now. You know you still, I got it. you there swim out there a little bit, I got it. Next thing,
I'm telling you.
Now all of a sudden, what happens after that? You start panicking. So you, in the midst of panic, all of your core thoughts, all of the values, all of the small intricacies, everything that you've learned, the technique, all of that goes out the window. Mm-hmm. Now you go to, you trying to survive.
Fight or flight.
That's what again. But now you becoming a victim. You're victimized now because of something that you thought you had. A tight grasp on.
The control, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's real.
So it makes you think, and it makes you question, what do we really control? What do we really control? Because even we can say the technology that we create as human beings, we lose control over that often.
Yep.
And when we do, like they said, Facebook went down one day or something like that. Or just take, for example, like if a blackout happens, that shows you, okay, a pandemic happens. Technically, the reason why our society today is still trying to recover from what happened in 2020 is because we were never prepared for something of that magnitude.
Yeah.
Now they're saying like the children, like they're saying that the children are becoming. It's like now you have more issues with the children with like anxiety levels and everything else.
Pandemic babies.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Okay, it's interesting. They call them pandemic babies, but we're not okay. We're gonna call them pandemic babies, but these children weren't even born in 2020. These were let's call it what it is. In a sense, you can say that a lot of these kids were victimized by the circumstance. Mm-hmm. A circumstance in which we were never prepared for from jump, which means that in a sense, we became too dependent upon certain things.
100%, bro. I think even during the pandemic, though, you saw both sides. Those that went back to the basics and then those that couldn't adapt. You know what I'm saying? Marriages broken up, people not going back to work, a lot of different things. You've seen people thrive. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. But also with that, then you ask too, at what cost? Because those that thrive, they became well equipped to what became a new normal to them.
Yeah.
So they were good on the fly. They were good at it, being able to adjust. But even with that, then you start. Now they sit behind a computer a lot of time now, because now a lot of those individuals have never returned back to an office. But get them in front of people, you start seeing the little flaws too, because personal,
that's
interaction.
I didn't even thought about that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like on both levels.
That's very true.
That's why. Again, that's why you still have to go through. Sometimes you have to push yourself to go through things. You might be at your most comfortable just being in the house chilling, as we say all the time.
Right.
But you have to push yourself, take yourself through something and get out of the house.
100%. Get
around people. It's like to be honest with you, sometimes, man, even if and this is the thing, because this type of technology was created for people that are busy, right? But even with that, we make time for what we truly want to make time for. So my thought process is, I don't know who I'm speaking to right now, but even if you like audiobooks, make time to get back to the art of actually reading a book.
Bruh, big facts.
I don't even know why I'm even on this.
That's
right
real.
now.
You speaking to me, because it's like that's how I mostly read all my books. Like I got all these books right here. I can't take the last. I maybe read like a couple of pages in this one, but I listen to hours of audiobooks. And you right, because it's a totally different skill set.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? From even if you think like, bro, why is that even important? Like whether I listen to it or read it. But think about you reading out loud. Think about you just reading in general, your comprehension skills. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you reading instructions. You know what I'm saying?
The thought process, man, everything it shifts.
100%.
The things that we take for granted, man, that we used to have to do a lot back in the day that we don't have to do today. You think about that now, that's becoming a weakness.
Yep.
It's like you have to strengthen those parts of your being, because if you don't, then it'll be like, for example, the one thing that I did like about, the pandemic, it did force a lot of people to go back to it. We went old school with, like, for example, trades. Yeah. Picking up trades.
Yeah.
And that kept the trade game alive, and well. Like, for example, like handyman became like, hey, like I'm here, I'm still present. Mechanics, stuff like that, It's like now it became more so to me, it looked the closest to like a time period in which, like, even in a modern day, it looked close to what my grandfather was telling me about, just like people out there really like grinding and hustling, because it's like, man, when money becomes hard to gain, now you got to become crafty on how to go and get your hands on it.
Facts.
Made
me think about like masks, like all the different masks that came up.
Oh man,
bro, that was crazy, son.
Bro, now one thing about us, man, we've always been known to to put a spin on something.
Yeah, man.
It's like, man, all right, man, all right, look. If I got to rock it, I'm a rock it how I want to rock.
Yo, I never seen so many different styles, but that was pretty cool.
Look at, man, I'm talking about, man, in the winter, boy, you had so many people walking around looking like Sub-Zero.
Have you seen the one? It was like you put on the glasses, but it was a shield. Like
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I was like, yo, that right there. I could give it to you. I give you a hand.
Boy, look here. I'm talking about, man. Look, it was very innovative.
But I even seen a dude. He was cutting grass. This was probably like a couple weeks ago. He had the shield on with the leaf blower. I was like,
see, it's still here.
You know, what
it ain't going nowhere now. It's like now it's just being utilized for maybe what it was really supposed to be. But like, man, but that's the thing, and whilst we on this topic too, I want to say too to some people, when you go through whatever it is you go through, we're gonna call it your zone. When you forced to go through, whatever it is that's your zone, that that moment in which you battling through whatever you battling through, don't stop being creative. Understand you're not in a sunken. You're not in a sunken place, or you're not in, you're not in this pit that's swallowing you whole. Mm-hmm. Understand that it's still room to maneuver. So take it like the pandemic. Take it like, okay, even if you look at it, even if you forced to do a sentence, if you in prison, if you in jail, whatever, you look at it, and that's when you got to take and really dig deep and say, you know what? I'm a creator. I gotta be, because That's the one thing that's gonna get me out of this.
Yep.
That's the one thing you gotta stop, and you gotta really push yourself and understand how can I make time? Listen to what I'm about to say. How can I make time make sense to me?
That's the biggest piece.
How can I make time make sense to me? Make sense to me.
Bruh.
How?
I like what you said on that because it's so big, and you said through it, like, we've become so dependent on certain things that we forget to tap into us.
That's
to
it,
you,
man.
this right here, and it's like you look to so many different people and so many different products and so many different brands to do things that you forget that, yo, man, I'm a creative being myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm a creative person myself. What can I do for self to help me to, and when you start doing that, you'll be surprised how much confidence that builds in you. You know, and when you become when you truly get back to self and like depend on self for a lot more things, you become more confident, and you be able to become a more productive person in society. And don't miss what I'm saying in a selfish way, but what I'm saying is when you become more confident in you, you learn your strengths, you learn your weaknesses, and then you're able to also tap into your community, people around you. Like I always speak on E, man, like me and him, you know what I'm saying? We tap into each other. It's like, yo, that was my strength, being able to go out and talk to people. But let's spoke, you know what I'm saying? You have to push past those fears, and that opened up the door for another relationship to be built. You know what I'm saying? So things like that.
That's iron sharpening iron.
Iron sharpening iron, man. So I think tapping into you and not being so dependent, learning yourself, being more in tune with you, allows you to be more confident. And then that spreads out to finding more people like that, so you can build a more stronger community.
And even with that, within you finding, you know, a bigger, or you creating a stronger community, what you have to also be willing to do is understand that, okay, even when it comes to building yourself up, or, you know, when you in that situation in which, like I was telling you, find your artistic niche. When you in that element and in that mode, understand that becomes a season that you in. So it's, even if it's harvest, you know, even if it's cultivated into like harvest time, and now you reaping the rewards from the labors that you had to go through, and you know, now you see this endless, you see this endless harvest that's come from that. Something in which you thought was so, you know, which just was full of moments in which, you know, you bled, you cried, you know. It's just, it put you through the ringer. But now you on this end looking like, you know what, had not it been for that season, you know, I would have never, matter of fact, had not it been for that reason, you would have never found your season. It's like, or a lot of people can say, hey, had not it been for, you know, that season there, now I found my reason. It's, you know, it's all it's perception based to whoever it is that, you know, we might be speaking to.
It's interchangeable.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, what I want people to understand is also coming out of that season, and when we're talking about community building too, understand that it's okay if you are around people in which you don't feel like you're the smartest person in the room. That's cool, because now you might be stepping into another season in which you're growing, because now you're listening, you're taking in more information, you're learning how to do more things.
Yep.
That's cool. And see, we got to be comfortable with going through things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not even about life pushing us through certain things, or God pushing us through certain things. Sometimes we got to push ourselves through, you know, certain things, and we got to become accustomed. I want to challenge everybody, you know, everybody within the next month, find something that you may have not excelled at, or you may not have ever been comfortable in your life. One thing, and just give it a try. Give it it up. Now, giving it a real earnest try doesn't mean you go out there and you do something that one time and say, well, you know, I said I was going to give it one try.
Yeah.
No, Giving it an earnest try means you go out there and whatever it is, even if you do it the first time and you like, you know what, I really didn't give forth my full effort because I got scared. Yeah. That fear that we was talking about, that's within, that sickness starts coming. So that's automatically, it's gonna inject, it's gonna actually take and spread. Mm-hmm. So you're not gonna give it your all anyways. But I want you to go out there and really put forth some effort on whatever it is that's blocking you, or whatever has blocked you in the past. And I don't care. Even if it's speaking in front of people and you sit up there and you fight through it. Yep. Fight through it. I don't care. Even if that moment happens, I don't know who I'm talking to. If that moment happens, I want you to take and look straight ahead. Look straight ahead and speak to your moment. Speak to your moment. Speak to, your adversity. And say, look, the only reason I'm up here anyways is really because I'm afraid of being in front of people. So this to me is bigger than, really the people that I'm facing right now, the stuttering that I'm doing. I need to be up here because this right here is going to bring me closer to where I need to be. I have to cross this bridge, so I'm crossing this bridge. Speaking of a bridge, it's somebody out there, it has a fear of going across bridges. Say you a prayer and find you a small bridge. Start small. Find a small bridge, cross the bridge. Cross it. Even if it's you in the passenger side and your eyes closed. Start somewhere. Bruh. As a matter of fact, I'm going to add a little something on to that. Have somebody else in the back seat, not the driver. Have somebody else in the back seat to film it. Film the bridge as you're crossing it so that you can go back and you can actually, the second step would be looking at the video. Just to say that's something that I did. I crossed it. Somebody afraid of getting on planes. Take the plane. This was me last year. I conquered this fear. Take the plane, and even if it's just going to the next state, do it.
How do you feel after now that you don't take flight? Would you take another one?
I would. I can honestly say still to this day, I prefer gravity. I like to be on ground, but I wouldn't mind taking another. I can do it now. I can do it. See, for me, it was just it was the fear. It's the unknown, all of that. But the thing about it is, I wouldn't mind. I can do it again.
So you can at least say to yourself, I've done that, so I know I can do it again.
Exactly.
And one thing I like what you said was like, I do videos a lot. Like I video myself, even if it's just typing on the computer doing work, because like you said, with speaking in front of people, what I become conscious of is how do I look? Oh man, that person over there made a facial gesture. I must look stupid. Oh man, I must be standing weird. And I get into this whole analytical thing. So it's like you said, make a video of yourself. Have somebody else record you. Put a mirror up in the room. You know what I mean? And once you get comfortable seeing yourself, you get comfortable with self. You know what I'm saying? Facts. So then nothing else matters. After you're comfortable with you, you're able to do it with no problem. I wouldn't say no problem, but you're able to do it with more comfortability.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And the thing about it,
if that makes sense. Not a harp on comfortability because not everything will be comfortable, but you get what I'm saying.
Exactly. And I want to say this, a lot of times, man, even, if you into sports, I know certain people that play basketball, right? And I didn't know this, man. Like, bro, like for years, man, I would always be so nervous. It's just like you would think playing around your peers you shouldn't be nervous, which that for the most part around certain people, but for me, man, it was just like when the gyms filled up.
Oh yeah.
Then all of a sudden that's when I would take in the field it would handicap half of my game. So now I'm focused on defense or just, passing. Not to a sellout, man, you a great teammate to a sellout because he know he going to get the ball from you. But my thing is, every time I would leave the court, I would think about the what ifs or what I could have been. So now all of a sudden the fear creates another issue. And it becomes a dilemma still. And that dilemma is, I squandered it all.
Bruh. That's what it really be.
So it's like, like the thing about it, suppose, I want to finish this here. Suppose you have a performance and your performance just happens to be in the next state. But let's just say for whatever reason, you don't have a flight. Your fear isn't flying. Your fear is crossing the bridge. There's not a flight going, to the state you need to be in to perform. There's a bridge though. So now you have to go through something. So is that bridge going to stop you from performing? Now, everybody know what you're capable of doing on a microphone. Your voice is God sent. But now we dealing with a real, a true possibility that you ain't going to show up just because you can't cross the bridge. It comes at times in our life when we have to cross a bridge. But we have to take a flight. Now think about it. With a flight, it's like it's like in your mind you have to focus yourself, because you become limitless to the possibilities of something you never even known existed until you actually did it.
Whole new world.
That's it.
Whole new world.
Crossing the bridge. Comes a time you can't run from it. You got to take and you got to run through it.
That's
you
it.
got to drive over it. You got to adjust. First, practice your breathing. You breathe. Breathe, become one with the moment. Understand the importance of what it is that you have to do. Because really and truly, you shouldn't fear nothing. You really shouldn't. You really shouldn't. So if that's not even a reason enough for you to do it, that performance, the opportunity that follows that performance, that should be. We as people, we have to take an opportunity in our life and have to understand sometimes that it's not just about us. So if we understand that it's not just about us, then sometimes it wasn't meant for you to be the one singing lead. Sometimes we must sing backup. But still, backup can't exist if we're not singing in harmony. So with that being said, we got to see a situation. We got to see the issue. And what we have to do is we have to become that person to inspire.
That's it, bro.
That person. Or sometimes we have to become that person to motivate. That person that we already know sitting on greatness, but they're afraid to cross the bridge. So now, you know what? Tanya, or whoever it is that's afraid, look, I'll go with you. If you don't want to sit in the front seat, that's fine. You can sit in the back seat with me. We can hold hands. We can pray all the way through this. We're going to cross this bridge. You got to be there. God has something for you, but you have to be present to perform.
That's it.
I'm done,
bro. We're going to end on that, man. That was hey, bro, that was powerful, bro. So if you liked anything, man, that we said on this podcast, we encourage you to, it's a call to action, man. Like, share, and tune in next Thursday. Peace. Real talk. We appreciate you giving us a listen. If you like this episode and would like to engage with us or support, reach out through our social media platforms, linked in the description, and tune in every Thursday to check out new episodes. See you next week.